Hey guys, Hippopotamus again. Today I'm going to be bringing you a build that I've theory crafted for use in hardcore mode where you have one life and if you die, that is it, you have to fully reset. So this is a build that's going to try and keep you and your teammates alive as much as possible. Okay, let's go through the specialization, go down to the range and go through all the bits and pieces as normal. So, for this build, I'm using the Survivalist. Now, a big part of the reason why I'm going to be using this is because of the 10% protection from elites, something that's very, very important for us. We can also share medkits with group members which are in 20 meters, potentially saving somebody's life, saving them from dying, which is amazing. We don't use the outgoing healing or the bender mine, but it's something that we could if we, just want to pop it on there quickly. The skill haste, crunch time, is great if we lose our shield or our hive. It means that we can get 10% skill haste, and on big numbers like the hive or the cooldown, 10% is fairly significant. The other things to mention really is the synergizing weapons within the tree, which is the shotgun and the assault rifle. And the fire grenades also come in quite handy. Should you need to block a pathway off if you're getting rushed by enemies, you can just throw a fire grenade down and any enemies that come through that area get status effect. Also as well with that, enemies that get status effect, I believe, also helps your team members do more damage to them. I'm just looking for that now. There we go. So yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, so any group members get 10% damage bonus when enemies are status affected. So, that's going to give your team like a little damage bonus. Sorry, I was a little lost for words there. Something else just to mention as a little bonus, sometimes you may run out of ammo, or if you're playing with directives where you don't have ammo, scraping by is a brilliant talent for shotguns, because if you do a cover-to-cover move, 5 ammo per second, well, 5 ammo in a shotgun is quite a lot. In the AR, not so much, but if you run out of shotgun rounds and you can't get back to the box in time, you can just cover-to-cover and regain your ammo. I'll show that in the range anyway, just for sake of reason. Okay, so let's go down to the range, take a look at the build and do some stat comparison. So, taking a look at the build, here we go. So the first thing I want to mention is my main weapon, or sort of ranged weapon, should I say. This can be any assault rifle that you like, or it could be Emmeline's Guard. The main thing that we're looking for is just preservation. Preservation is important because we can get kills and it's going to give us armor back over time, which on top of our armor regen is going to give us a nice comfy little pillow to sit on. So make sure that we're, never at low armor. We're never going to be running around with, less than half armor, let's say. So if we kill an enemy, we get 10% of our armor over 5 seconds. Headshot doubles that. On Emmeline's Guard, I believe it's 15 on both. So giving you a potential of 30% of your armor over 5 seconds, which is amazing. Okay, so our next weapon is the Scorpio shotgun. Again, since launch, it's taken a few nerfs, but it's been consistently OP, especially in PvE, with the status effects it does and what it does. Also, we have a talent that's going to proc off using the shotgun. So we can see that it does poison, disorient, shock, and then damage take additional damage. So that's great. It's going to give your teammates extra damage. And again, remember, with the skill tree, you give your teammates 10% extra damage when you do a status effect to a target, and then we're adding this 20% on top. So status affected targets are going to take 30% more damage, which is really good for your team, which is giving them extra damage, okay? So the other thing to mention again is the disorient and shock. So when we hit the disorient or shock, you're going to proc a talent on the backpack called Galvanize, which we'll go through when we get there. For the pistol, I'm using a TDI card. Pure and simple reason is just the extra skill tier. You can have whatever talent you want here. I've gone with Optimist for extra damage. Should we be playing with directives where your weapons need to do a little bit of extra damage because you need the ammo. So you need those pistol kills to pick up the ammo. I think it's Pistolero it's called. So the extra damage suits nice here. Again, you can have whatever you so please. Okay, so for the mask, I'm using the Chill Out mask. Should be fairly simple to get this. Again, it's off the Loot Goblin. You just have to locate them. I think there is videos on YouTube. Kamikaze Von Doom has a video of how to locate him, where he is. So that's something that you'll want to take a look into if you're not sure how. But how we're going to do this is we're going to roll armor and armor regen, and then we have two 12% protection from elites mods. I just want to say, protection from elites, not everybody knows that it's really quite sometimes hard to get, but once you start seeing them, you will see them fairly regularly. Look, you can have 11, 12, or 13. The higher to 13 you've got, the better, but generally as a rule, I mostly see 12%, so this is what I'm going to represent in my video, because I find these 12% protection from elites reasonably easy to acquire. Okay, so onto the backpack. So this is our second piece of Gila. I didn't previously say that our first piece gives us 5% total armor, which is going to be fairly significant given that we're all blue this time. So that 5% total armor is great. The next bit is going to be health. Now, normally health, I just wouldn't really even give it a nod. However, in hardcore mode, where every last little bit of life counts, and it's the difference between living and dying, that 60% extra health, it could be valuable, give you enough time to slip on another med kit and regenerate your armor if something really bad happens. So yes, the extra health is quite valuable in this case. So we've got this rolled with armor, hazard protection, and armor regen. We also have an in-slot mod of protection from elites, and the talent that we're using is Galvanize. So if we apply a blind, ensnare, confuse, or shock to an enemy, this grants 40% of your armor as bonus armor to all allies within 20 meters of that enemy for 10 seconds, which, again, over armor, it's giving your teammates a bit of survivability, and all you have to do this is just shoot the enemy. That's it. Just shoot the enemy with your Scorpio, and you're giving your teammates extra survivability, which is great. For the chest piece, this was something that we could have gone with Point Man, Perfect Point Man, but we're not using that because that requires having to click the shield on and off. You don't always have your shield, and you don't always have full uptime with it. Now, in this particular case, there is a reason for the tardigrade, and that comes in two reasons. So let's just discuss the piece, and then we'll go through the reasons. So, it's rolled with armor, explosive resistance, and armor regen, which is the default way. You can't get it any other way. And it has a protection from elites mod at 12% popped in there. Now, the talent ties in with the reason why we're using this. So yes, you could use Perfect Point Man and share that armor when you click your shield. However, this works better for hardcore in my opinion, and the reason is when any of your allies break their armor, they gain 80% of your armor base as Omer armor for 10 seconds. Now, to me, that's given everybody unbreakable in the group, including people that aren't running it, that are maybe leveling up. So this is increasing not only your survivability, but the entire group's survivability. And in hardcore, when you only live one time and you die, that is fairly significant in my mind. Okay, so if we kill an enemy with the specialization weapon, it's going to decrease that cooldown, something that we're not going to see a massive amount of benefit from, but it's there if you do get that ability to kill an enemy with a signature weapon. So, onto our next piece, it's a glove. I'm using a Gilligard, and this is giving us the all-important 2% armor regen, something that we're looking to get. It's rolled with armor, armor regen, and hazard protection. Okay, so fairly simple. Then we have one piece of Bellstone. This is giving us another 1% armor regen, totaling up to 3% armor regen. Unsurprisingly, it's rolled with armor, hazard protection, and armor regen. So, onto our last piece. It's one piece of Lengmo, and this gives us 20% explosive resistance. Now, this is the other reason why we tie in with wearing the tardigrade. You'll notice that the tardigrade has 10% explosive resistance. So, with this and this, we are gaining 30% explosive resistance, which is really, really useful in hardcore. Not only are we insulating from hazards, but we're also insulating from explosives. So those grenade spammers and suicide rushers, they don't hurt us half as much as what they normally do. We're getting a straight up damage resistance to those types of enemies. So this is rolled with armor, armor regen, and hazard protection. This will all make sense when I show you the stat sheet and show you where I'm at. But one thing I would like to say is, in a hardcore build, you may not be up to level 1000 yet, so some of your mileage may vary on the stats. Once you get to level 1000 and your wristwatch is fully completed, you will get exactly identical stats as this, apart from the specialization ranks, which are fairly cheap. Again, there's only 10 ranks been put into most of these, which cost no exotic components whatsoever. Again, there has been some ranks put into the shield as well, but let's go through the skills dead quickly. I'm using a Reviver Hive. It's only got one shot in it, but again, this is the reason why we use the pistol, because if we switch to the pistol, throw the Hive, all of a sudden, now I have 2 shots in it, which can pick me and a teammate up. Very, very important. Okay, unsurprisingly, I'm using a shield. This is going to, again, give us more damage resistance and something to sit behind, which is quite important. So this is a tier 6 shield with health mods put in, and then a damage bonus to each target in front of the shield, which is on. So that's quite useful as well. And then again, we have the fire grenades, which we can use to block off the pathway should we be getting rushed by multiple enemies and just need a minute to maybe slip on a med kit or do something. That's going to buy us a little bit of time just to get what we need. Okay, let's go look at the range, and we can see that it's on heroic for comparison. And let's go look at the stat sheet. So on the stats, we're using preservation on our main weapon just to get that 20% extra armor on kill, or armor over time when we get a headshot kill, should I say. We're using septic shot. That's all important because we're using galvanized, so that's synergizing between talents and also giving us the extra 20% damage to all sources, as well as the specialization because we're doing status effect to enemies. We have Optimist on the pistol, just to help do a little bit of extra damage when we have Pistolero on, because if we need to get ammo, we need to kill enemies that little bit quicker. So Optimist seems like a good choice. You can use whatever you want here. Okay, so looking at our stats, I'll just show the damages. You'll notice that I have higher headshot damage here because I am using a headshot damage mod. Seems pointless to go after crit. Again, higher headshot damage just because crit is very low. Okay. Damage is low across the board, but survivability is what we care about here. We have the talents Galvanize and Ablative Nanoplating. This and this is both going to protect your team from potential death. We're using 3 pieces of Gila, including the Chill Out, which gives us total armor, health, and armor regen. 1 piece of Bellstone Armory, which gives us armor regen, and then Lengmo. We have just a little under 2 million armor. Again, if I specialize to rank 10 on my backpack, I'm fairly certain that we'll be hitting bob on 2 million. We have no armor on kill, but the important stat here is the armor regen. This would probably be closer to about 90,000 if we fully optimized the backpack up to rank 10 or higher on the other stats. So it's possible to get nearer to 95 should you spend some exotic components on making this build a little stronger. Now, the important numbers here, and this is why I've called it the 60-50-40 build, because should you have the right mods, you're going to be hitting roughly around 60% protection from elites, which is fairly significant. 60% protection from elites is reducing the elite damage quite a lot, allowing you to play harder content. We also have 40% explosive resistance. This is useful for enemies that use grenade launchers and spam grenades at you, mini tanks, grenade units, or the suicide rushers. That's going to take the edge off those explosives that hit you. And hazard protection, because fire and other hazards are very, very nasty. 50% of that damage is now going to be mitigated through having hazard protection. Again, we have the Hive. And remember, getting in cover can reduce the cooldown on this. Ignore the skill haste here because we are in the range. But potentially having 2 shots with the pistol. And we have a shield as well. Again, if the shield breaks, we can get in cover and reduce that cooldown. Okay, so using the build. Cautious playstyle would be advised. I wouldn't advise you to rush up and get in enemies' faces. However, one thing to note is that If we get hurt a little, and we see a weak enemy like a red, shooting that red in the head now is going to give us, as you can see, quite significant armor regen for a short amount of time, for 5 seconds, refilling our armor. We also have the ability to do extra damage to enemies, so let's just up this enemy so we can see what it would be like to shoot at a named enemy. Okay, and we can see there that Galvanize is procced because of those status effects. So we're hitting for about 238 in the head on a crit. So although we don't have significant damage, we've got enough to carry us through. I'm just going to waste a little ammo here because of the thing that I wanted to show you. And again, if we have Pistolero, as we shoot, we get more damage. Okay, so I don't know if I can do it in here. Let's hope that I can. Maybe. Okay, yeah, I think I just saw it there. Okay, 5 shotgun ammo. You see that? So that just gives me 5 extra shotgun ammo. So if we cover to cover, we can regain our ammo back. A couple of things also to note is that if we're trapped and we've been hurt, we can throw a fire grenade, slow enemies down, stop them from rushing in and hurting us. And also we have the tardigrade. That will save yours and teammates' lives. And we also have the ability to share medkits. So should you have a teammate that needs a medkit, you have one they don't, you're going to share that medkit with your teammates. Okay? All in all, I think this creates a very survivable build for hardcore mode, and I think it's something that hardcore players would be interested in. I just want to finish this video in a way that I wouldn't normally do this, is that I am now the commander of a clan that plays hardcore content. We focus mainly on hardcore mode and a PvP, so it's all hardcore content. So should you like that kind of content, we are actively recruiting. We've got 10 slots at the minute, and we are looking for people that play. So if you want to come play, just send me a message on PlayStation Network, or leave a message in the video. My gamer tag is Tropic Hippo. So should you want to come play and you're looking for a hardcore clan or a PvP clan, we are actively looking for people right now. All right, guys, thanks very much for that. See you in the next one. Hope you enjoy. Goodbye.